Drake Jackson. It's funny. He got, again, universally praised by all the people who matter on this team. D'Amico Ryans, Nick Bosa, specific praise. He bends better than I do. He has longer arms than I do. He does stuff that I had to learn how to do. It's natural for him. Samson Ebukam, great. I don't question. They know more about it than me. All I'm looking at is a guy who weighed 254 at the combine that now weighs 273, and it's not muscle. I'm like, why? Why did you do that? Why do you think a young second-round draft pick would feel compelled to do something like that?
Yeah, I know they did a lot of different things with him at USC and had him kind of moving around, playing different positions. I think his freshman year, I think he was naturally heavier. Then they had him slim down for another role. So I don't know if he just kind of ballooned back up after the combine because it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to get back to something that's a little bit more natural for him. But that might not be what's best for him. Yeah. And I think he'll find that out fairly quickly. You know, NFL, one thing for sure, you'll learn what works and what doesn't work right away. And the good thing for him is he gets to look across that room and see Nick Bosa. Yeah. And how Nick Bosa prepares and how Nick Bosa takes care of his body and understand that, like, you know, that could be you too. My rookie year in the Arena Football League, I was a bigger corner, right? You know, almost 6'2", 200-pound DB. But I wasn't like crazy physical or anything like that. Yeah. Well, my rookie year in the AFL, I'm playing with these dudes, and these dudes are badass, right? I mean, they're flying around there, taking guys' heads off, they're smacking guys. I'm like, man, how they do it? And then we kind of got this nickname, the bad boys of the league, because I mean, they just didn't take no crap from anybody, right? And at some point, you have to take that on yourself. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm more physical. I'm more aggressive. Right. I'm taking guys' heads off too, right? I just bought into like what the standard that they set. And I think for a guy like Drake Jackson, when it comes to like taking care of your body, like follow suit with what this guy that's an all-pro caliber guy, everybody loves. He's about to be the highest paid defensive player in the league. Well, what is he doing? Yeah. Well, you need to figure that out and kind of copy that and, you know, figure out the best way to take care of your body. But a lot of guys don't truly understand that until they get to the league, unless you are somebody like Bosa, who's kind of grown up and groomed into this, whatever he is, robot monster.
Seriously. I mean, he's 266 pounds, probably 5% body fat. I mean, I can't imagine the Niners asked Drake Jackson to come in heavier than Nick Bosa. Maybe they did. In which case, Drake, I'm so sorry. I don't know why they told you to do that. And I guess I trust Chris Kaserik, but I don't think they told you to do that. I'll find out. I don't know. It seems to me that, you know, when I was reading Drake Jackson's scouting report on NFL.com, they kept crushing him for being too light, and that he should have kept his weight up. And they basically were saying he's an outside linebacker, DN tweener, and maybe he felt that he would have more value in the league if he just was 270, because he was 270 at his pro day. He put up good agility numbers at that weight. I mean, maybe it helped his draft stock, but right now he looks like Tank Carradine, man. It's like
they will tell him, or at least again, I don't know how the 49ers do, but I know the New York Jets with us, you know, I was around 200 pounds, where they're like, well, your peak performance, like for you to be where we need you to be, you got to be between 193 pounds and 195 pounds. Oh, wow. For me to be the best version of myself athletically. And for every pound I was over 195, they would find me $1,000.
Oh, right? Wow.
Yeah. So, wow. So I don't know if they're doing things like that with guys where it's like, look, this is the weight that we want you at, and this is where you're going to have your peak performance. And they figure that out based on like your body fat. They put you in this thing, and it tracks all your little different things and metrics and all that, and it spits out, this is where he'll be best.
What about Aaron Banks? It seems like the Niners did that with Aaron Banks this last year. They're like, we like you, but we don't like your body, and this is what you got to be. And now all of a sudden he's totally different. Maybe the Niners are going to do the same thing with Drake Jackson, because I just can't imagine that the way he looks now is the way he's going to look when he's fully developed under this team. I just can't imagine. Right. Anyway, Sacramento Mike says it's crazy to think we could have won 2 Super Bowls in 3 years with a non-mobile quarterback that can't throw deep. Now we have Lance and cornerbacks. We're going to be a juggernaut.
I think the team is better. It's tough. And here's the thing that's hard to kind of weigh out. Yeah. A guy who just hasn't seen it, right? Like a quarterback who there's so much he hasn't seen. Even with Jimmy, with all his faults, we knew though if the game was kind of tight at the end, like you're gonna have an opportunity to win because he's gonna make some throws and all of a sudden they pull it off and he's the hero, right? Yeah. And I remember you tweeting that out a couple of times where it's like Jimmy's gonna do some things. He's gonna be the hero. Like maybe the Packers game where he just made a few throws in that playoff game at the end of the game, one to Debo, one to Kittle, and it's like 49ers win. Like that's a fourth quarter win for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think once Trey Lance can make those plays late in games that will resort in wins, then yeah, the 49ers will 100% be a juggernaut. But there's probably going to be some ups and downs with filling out just almost how to be more of a game manager before he becomes that really explosive passer. That's me being more cautiously optimistic. Hell, who knows? He could just come in and just be hella good. I mean, he did it as a redshirt freshman at North Dakota State and led them to a national title undefeated. So
he could come in and be hella good, and I think he probably will, but that doesn't mean he's going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon. Like, for example, I think we all kind of compare Trey Lance to a degree to Steve Young because it's the same team and similar skill sets, and Steve's taking him under his wing. Well, Steve was great. Steve was really successful, but he didn't win a Super Bowl until he took over a great team. So he took over a juggernaut, and he had probably a better skill set than Joe Montana. I mean, more mobile, probably could throw the ball downfield more than he was better than Joe, but took him to his fourth year to win a Super Bowl on a great team. And it didn't mean he wasn't great, but I mean, he had to go and lose in the playoffs and learn what that was like. And fourth year. So the Niners could be a juggernaut, but we'll see. At some point, Lance is probably going to have to learn some hard lessons in the playoffs, like Jimmy did. Problem is Jimmy never got better from those lessons.
And I mean, we see other guys having those type of growing pains as well. I mean, look at Josh Allen.
That was what I was going to say. Thank you.
And I mean, he's widely considered a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Right. And we watched him duel it out with Patrick Mahomes. And the reason why the Bills didn't go to the AFC Championship game was not because of Josh Allen,
right.
who had an amazing game, who had an amazing postseason run. That's a tough thing, too. When you look at these quarterbacks and you start to do the QB wins thing, and you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's kind of done the bare minimum in playoff games, but he has 4 playoff wins.
Right.
As opposed to Josh Allen, who threw like 20 touchdowns in 3 games in the postseason, right. But he doesn't have the postseason success of that. So, obviously your team comes into play big time, but I don't think it means like that, Trey Lance, if he's not winning playoff games, it's because of him. He's bad. Like now, I would argue Josh Allen played some of the best quarterbacking I've seen in the playoffs, and it didn't result in a win in a crazy game.
And like people compare Trey Lance to Josh Allen. I think most Niner fans hope he's the next Josh Allen. Well, keep in mind what Allen has done in the playoffs. He's been really good, but it hasn't led to a Super Bowl yet. I mean, a lot of people think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, but it's taken them some hard lessons in the playoffs to get to this point. We'll see. Yeah.
And not just that. I mean, just his early years, right? I mean, his first 2 years in the league, there were people that were like,
I thought he was trash.
Yeah. I thought he was trash in college.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was trash in college. So, like, to get to the league, that just confirmed what I thought. Like, this is a guy who completed 52% of his passes, then 58%. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, boom.
Yep. It's Stephon Diggs, and it's all different, right? Sacramento Mike says, Croc, describe your time with the Jets. We want to know.
I guess the best way to put it was a great experience. I'll say that. It was cool from all fronts. I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the business of the NFL. Here's the best way to put it. I've explained this on Twitter one time, but it was almost as if someone like made a movie about Eric Crocker, and then like I'm on the outside looking in, like watching a movie like of myself. Like, and that's kind of the best way to explain it, because I wasn't this highly like, oh, he's an amazing Pop Warner player, or oh, he's an amazing high school player, oh, he's an amazing college player. I was never that. So it was never like, oh, this guy's going to get to the NFL. Like, we all know it, Mm-hmm. So once I got there, it's like, what? Croc made it to the league, and then it was like, for me, it was just like, I was kind of a fan at first. Till you get in the locker room with Cromartie and Revis and Tim Tebow and all these guys, then you realize, like, oh, man, these dudes are just regular. So that from that standpoint, I was just like, okay, I'm good. I belong. But
what was Tebow like?
He was cool, man. I mean,
that's the vibe I got. He seemed kind of like cool. I mean, not cool, but
Tebow.
Nice.
He was. I mean, he'd be walking around like rapping like Lil Wayne lyrics, and I thought that was weird because it's like, this is like Christian guy. or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like holy,
Yeah.
Virgin Mary guy.
Huh.
And then like in groups, sometimes I'd be in his workout group, right? Like during OTAs and stuff. And he would kind of like cheat a little bit. And like his
Would
competitive
Jesus do
nature,
that? Would
I know,
Jesus
right?
cheat? Come on,
His
Tim.
competitive nature was on 10. I'm not gonna lie. He was one of the more competitive people. Wow, and then he got released. He ended up getting cut. But he was very competitive. But yeah, overall it was cool, man. It was cool. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about how I would coach, just kind of being around Rex Ryan and stuff like that. So yeah, that was dope.